Welcome to Reader Seeks Romance Channel's Romance Roundup, your number one source for romance book recs and book-to-screen recap reviews. I am Liz Donatelli.
And I'm Libby Kay, author of the romance series Pine Grove FD.
Watch and subscribe to Reader Seeks Romance Channel on YouTube, and listen and subscribe to Romance Roundup on PodBean and all podcast apps. Follow us on Instagram at Libby K Author and at Reader Seeks Romance. Libby and I are joined by Libby's cousin, everyone's favorite cousin, Carrie Horner. Together, we are LLC because we're in the business of building up your spring thaw TBRs. We're going to melt your cold, wintry hearts with these emotional, heartwarming romances. Cousin Carrie, welcome back.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Libby, welcome back.
Thank you. I am also happy to be here. It is such a Monday.
And it's such a Monday that we're just going to get right down to LLC business. Libby, let the roundup begin.
Giddy up, Liz. Here we go. So I took the spring thaw assignment literally and very seriously. And the book that I read, and I'm so curious, I don't think either of you read this one, but the one I picked is Thaw of Spring by Rebecca Zanetti. And as the title would suggest, it involves actual thawing into spring. Wow. So this is a slow burn. This is an adventure romance. And honestly, I would consider this to be, despite the fact it came out in September of 25, I would say that this is a very old school, like early aughts romantic suspense. It has everything you would expect. There's a rugged, quiet hero up in small town Alaska. There's a not so damsel in distress who's taking care of business but also needs his help. It was a delightful emotional roller coaster. And I will say that the snow in Alaska thawed before our hero's heart.
Wow. Now, is that from the book description or did you just make that up?
No, I made that up.
Oh, wow.
So this book is actually, and I didn't realize it when I picked it, it's book 2 in the Knife's Edge Alaska series. So I will say I enjoyed it as a standalone, but I am going to go back. I already put the first book on request at the library because I want to know, there's a mystery that is kind of going through the book, and part of it sounds like it started in book 1. So there's like one element there's multiple mysteries, I should say, but one of them, the big one, definitely started in the first book, and I feel like I might have missed a little something with the details on that. Plus, the best part of this series is it's 4 brothers. And so we're in this small Alaskan town of Knife's Edge, and we have 4 brothers. And the thing I love about it is it's another one, kind of like Bridgerton, where they're in alphabetical order. So although we didn't start with brother A, we started with Brock was book 1. This is Christian's book. He is the second brother. And then we have Ace is going to be book 3. I went ahead and spoiled it for myself. So the general premise is we have Amka, who is the local tavern / diner owner. And let's just say things are not going well for her. She has someone stalking her. She has a horrible relationship with her fiance. And again, this all happens very quickly in the book, so I'm not spoiling anything. And she also has a rugged former Navy SEAL, Christian, who she's always kind of been attracted to. And he's back in town and, basically just sulking and being super sexy and just coming into every scene with a touch her and die vibe that I in real life would absolutely hate, but in books, I just eat it up with a spoon and I love it.
Yeah.
It was the perfect amount of actual action and suspense. Christian saves Amka in several situations, but she also saves herself. She has a lot of great connections to the townspeople that add a lot of dimension and color commentary to the story. I will say it was a very slow burn romance. And not just because she starts the story engaged to a jackass, but it is very old school suspense is the only way I can describe it. It gave me kind of like the early Nora Roberts vibes of like the early aughts, back when she would have like those mass market paperbacks coming out for a year. It felt like that, which I know some people might find unappealing, but I just found the pacing was perfect. I read it in a day and a half, which for me right now is very impressive. The writing was very good. Rebecca Zanetti does a great job with describing everything from the landscape to the crime scenes to the sex scenes. The sex scenes were very good. We had to wait for them, but they were worth the wait. I didn't really have any notes that were negative for the book, unlike our last discussion last month, where I felt like half my review was critiques and negativity. This was exactly what I would want for this time of year. It was had an element of cozy with the small town vibe, but the pacing was quick enough with the action that I didn't mind that it was a slow burn romance. Yeah, I can't say enough nice things about Thaw of Spring by Rebecca Zanetti.
Carrie, I always look forward to hearing your book Rex because you surprise me.
Well, thank you. I think. I mean, it's a tough act to follow because I feel like Libby really understood the assignment with that title.
Yeah.
But the one that I picked, I have like a literal and a metaphorical warming my icy heart. So I'm doing The Shippers by Catherine Center, and I'm actually, it's an arc. So little flex there with that.
Oh,
But literally, it fits the theme because this is a beach read. It's warm, it's tropical, and it takes place on a cruise ship. Metaphorically, it's warming my icy heart because I feel like Catherine Center is just sunshine. Like everything I read, just it leaves me feeling happy. And I'm not like one of those people who's really into positive reading or positive quotes, but like when I read her books, I just feel so like elated when I'm done. I'm just like, the world is a better place after you read something by Catherine Center. After a lifetime of being bad at love, JoJo Burton vows to solve her intimacy issues once and for all at her sister's destination wedding on a cruise ship. Armed with pop psychology, she diagnoses herself with a fixation on the neighborhood guy who is her first crush and first kiss, and who just happens to be a newly divorced wedding guest. Determined to woo him for closure, she ropes in her childhood bestie, Cooper Watts, as her wingman. Cooper, who RSVP'd no but showed up anyway. Cooper, who moved to London without a word for 4 years. Cooper, who was her greatest heartbreak. We literally meet JoJo on her wedding day, and she's about to walk into the church when Cooper, who she hasn't seen in 4 years, appears, and he doesn't say don't marry him, but instead he suggests that she passes out at the altar, and then he runs in to rescue her. And that's sort of where we're entering the book. We are literally entering at her wedding where this guy she hasn't seen in 4 years shows up, and she has no idea why he's there, but he immediately is like, you shouldn't be doing this, but he doesn't like telling people what to do. So yeah, she literally faints at the altar, and it's hysterical and funny, and her characters are just so quirky. They end up spending her wedding day together. They go to Galveston because a lot of these novels take place in Texas. So they go to Galveston for the day. And then the very next day, Cooper goes back to the UK, and we don't hear from him until we get to the sister's destination wedding, which is a few months later.
Oh my.
It's so hard to explain this book because I feel like with Catherine Center, there's so many layers. Like while we're following JoJo on her quest to find true love, her parents are also in the background and their marriage is sort of breaking down. And it's just really complex because you're finding out that relationships aren't what they seem. And so this is one of the stories where we have a lot of flashbacks. Like we flash back to when Cooper and JoJo were children and they first met, and how different scenes play out. And as an adult looking back, the memories are quite different than they were when you were a child. Like when you were a child, you have these memories, but they're not always accurate. And sometimes other people's ideas or memories feed into that, and you realize you've had it wrong this whole time. And I think that's a lot of what this story was about. Like, even with JoJo and her father, she thinks he's a workaholic and that maybe he didn't care for them a lot. And then you find out that his love language was actually taking care of them and providing for them because of what his childhood was like. And so it was really like a deep emotional read, even though it was absolutely funny. It was hysterical. The chemistry between Cooper and JoJo was just spot on. It was super believable that these two characters didn't want to ruin a lifelong friendship. And then what was really funny too is the guy that she's there trying to woo, this divorced guy, he was like the popular guy back in high school. And it was kind of funny because I mean, I've witnessed this in my own life where like the really hot popular guy is now sort of like the not so attractive guy who's like maybe a little bit boring. He's lost a lot of that spark, but her sister convinces her that she is imprinted on this man because he was her very first kiss when she was a teenager. And so she's had nothing but failed relationships in all these years since. And so she's convinced if she can go back and maybe make this relationship work, she will solve this riddle of love, which has eluded her in her entire life. there's fake dating and flirting, and then of course there's friends to lovers, which is one of my favorites. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I love I love Catherine Center as a person. I think she's an amazing author. I've never met her, but I've like communicated with her online. And she's just so, I don't know, she's sunshine. Like
She does seem, again, I haven't met her, but just judging from how she does her posts and interactions on social media, she just seems like a nice person who knows that she's got the best gig in the world and is just enjoying every moment. Like it seems very authentic.
Catherine is fantastic. I interviewed Catherine on Reader Seeks Romance Channel's interview show, and we discussed, what was the book with the girl who couldn't see couldn't see
oh, that was her
faces?
last one, I
Oh, like
think.
the face blindness or
Yes,
whatever
the
it's called?
face blindness. Yeah, I forget the name of it, which was a really good read, and I sat with her for that, interviewed her, and she's great.
She just always comes through. And I like that too, that she finds these like really strange little quirky, either medical conditions or psychological conditions with her characters
Yeah.
that make them like so unique and funny and likable. Yeah, I love her.
Yeah. An interesting tidbit, when I spoke with Catherine, she talked about finding men's forearms sexy.
Oh my.
Oh, did she start the
Absolutely.
trend?
Yes. And it happened first on Reader Seeks Romance Channel.
When does it release?
Maybe June. I can double check that for you.
Oh, I don't want to wait that long.
Carrie, how many pages?
Okay, I did come in with that information, but I feel like it was like 300, 330, like within that.
Perfect.
It was a
Oh.
fast read. It really wasn't very long.
Okay. And again, the title of that is the
Shippers, which is like it has
Shippers.
double meaning because they're on a cruise ship, but everyone is sort of rooting for them. So the whole wedding party knows that she's kind of like throwing herself at this other guy, but they're all secretly rooting for her and Cooper. And they keep referring to them, as the kids call it, the shippers, because they're in a relationship, which I learned. I was not aware that that's what shippers meant.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, I'm excited. I'm
Yeah,
excited.
seriously,
about
that sounds super cute.
I've selected a male Gilded Age romance by historical romance author and friend of the show, Logan Sage Adams. Logan's From the Ashes, Love and Ruin at the 1893 Chicago World's Fair, released January 22nd, 2026. And if this romance doesn't melt your icy cold heart, then you'd better grab yourself a mirror and check that you have a reflection, because you might not have a soul. From the Ashes, which the author declares as their nerdiest book, Logan loves research, and every historical romance
Yes.
that she's discussed with us, has been she does the deep dive.
Which is why they're so engrossing, is because you actually know that what you're reading would be authentic.
From the Ashes has sleigh rides, printing presses, and corned beef.
I honestly would be more excited about the corned beef than the sleigh ride. I don't know what that says about me, but I'm already on board.
Let me tell you, I love corned beef.
It's so good.
I love it. And so I also think this book qualifies as a St. Patrick's Day read. I just wanted to throw that in there.
Seriously.
Corned beef.
From the Ashes is an opposites attract workplace romance set in 1893, which is the Gilded Age, in Chicago. And the romance is between Arthur, an entrepreneur from a wealthy, respected family who just purchased his second printing press, and Jesse, a talented typesetter who grew up on the poor side of town. In an effort to repair his damaged reputation, Arthur wants to exhibit his printing presses at the World's Columbian Exposition, which is part of the World's Fair. But he needs Jesse's expertise to seal the deal. The love that soon develops between the two challenges the rigid class divides of the Gilded Age and offers a chance at healing and redemption. Arthur is an excitable, whimsical golden retriever, and Jesse is more of a cautious, grounded in reality type of guy with some secrets. There are moments that I don't want to spoil, but there is actually a pretty big grand gesture that happens just before, right at the 50% mark, which I thought was interesting. I feel like Logan was playing a little bit with the traditional structure because the I mean, this is a pretty big gesture that author does for Jesse. And I don't want to say it because honestly, it's a oh type of moment.
Yeah. That's also what I like about Logan's writing is she does, she keeps it fresh and she, messes around with things in a fun way.
Now, is this a spicy book or is it more like closed door romance or it's just slow burn?
Logan has mostly written, would you say slow burns, Libby?
Yeah, definitely slow burn. And it's not that they're not, I would consider their books steamy more than spicy, usually. Now, again, I haven't read this one yet. It is right behind me on my shelf, though. But yeah, usually they are, I would call them more steamy than spicy.
I would say steamy. And there was some steam just before, I would say at like the 40% mark, which is
that seems early. I mean, not in a bad way. I'm just saying for their writing.
So I feel like for Logan Sage Adams fans, this is interesting and compelling on another level, like from a craft perspective. Anything that Logan writes is deeply emotional, deeply compelling.
Always emotional roller coasters, but in good ways.
Yes. So I highly recommend From the Ashes by Logan Sage Adams. Carrie, thank you again for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me back.
Anytime.
And thanks for joining us, romance readers.
Happy reading, everyone.